but when you're running ads accounts, and you know this, and I'm sure many of the people in your audience understand that when you create an ad, or when you create a business ads account, a digital ads account, and you have tracking information, pixels that are gathering data, that when you're running it for years, you've collected a lot of information
Sure.
about the people who'd buy your account. That all went away overnight. We had to start from scratch.
Yeah. Well, this is so important, and I'm gonna say this plainly. When I was speaking to another guest the other day, I asked him this question. What is the most valuable thing about your Amazon advertising account, or in your case, Facebook advertising account? He said to me, the sales it generates. I said, wrong. Because that's backward looking. The sale that was generated out of your advertising is done. The most valuable thing about the advertising account you have with any one of these online providers is the advertising account itself, its history. When I say advertising account itself and its history, I'm not talking about having your advertising account on Amazon. I am talking about the individual campaigns that you create, those individual campaign records and their history. Because if you take that, let's imagine that you have an Amazon advertising campaign for sponsored product setup with the keywords and everything else. If you replicate that exactly and then shut down the old one, turn on the new one, you're not going to get the same performance.
That's exactly right, Nick. That is exactly right.
So that's why the most valuable thing is the campaign records you have with the online provider, and especially in the case of Amazon and Facebook. And losing all that history it's time you have to spend again to build it up, right?
Yeah, and this comes down to some of the strategies about how you build your campaigns and what you do with your ads. And I was working with a client. It was recreational vehicles. They sold RVs, trailers, and motorhomes. And what they were doing was they would create a new campaign for every product, and it would only last 2 weeks. They run it, and they were looking at it like newspaper advertising. Put in the ad, sale on product A. 2 weeks later, sale on product B, product C. Well, it never had time to gather information. The campaign never had to, who's interested in it, who's clicking on this, and which images are doing good. They had no history. They just kept gobbling it up and throwing it away every day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal, and having to start. And the other thing is, this is not like, okay, we've been running it for 6 months, so we're gonna need another 6 months. No, it may be not only just, let's say that it's exactly 6 months, you put in another 6 months, but it's also the money that you have to spend in order for the campaign to optimize itself. It's not gonna.
That's right.
You turn it on today, you have to spend money on clicks so that it can learn from its experience. And also at the beginning, it's like the Amazon honeymoon period, right? So when you launch the number, you have a clean slate. So everything you do looks pretty big. So suddenly from no order, so your historical data is pretty impressive, and it fluctuates quite a bit. And that's why Amazon says, okay, you know what, during this period, we're gonna give them everything we can, and then let the numbers settle down. And then good luck getting that kind of exposure after the honeymoon period is over, because your historical stabilized, right?
Mhm.
So in order to push the needle up or down, you really had to have big changes. So it's same thing with Facebook. So you had a stable history that was
Mhm.
producing, optimized. Now you're gonna have to do the whole thing. So, I mean, I would have given up. Have you? What did you do in that process?
Well, so fortunately, we had already created a an additional ads manager account on Meta that we were using separate so we could do some testing. So we would just do some testing and try some things out, but it wasn't our main account. We didn't put the significant dollars to it. It's just a few dozen or $100 here and there, right? Just to try some things out. So when our main ad account went offline, we could immediately spool up the new one and then transfer the content over, right? Just set up, basically replicate the campaigns because we did have the data from the prior one. So we knew which campaigns did good. So we were able to replicate those and the audiences, but we lost the pixel information. We lost the history on those ads.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.